Hello, it is 5 a.m. in Des Moines. It's 1 p.m. in Damascus. I'm Monita, Rajpal. This is World One, live from London. Also ahead, a man is charged with arson after more than 50 fires were set off in Los Angeles. First big test in the run-up to the next U.S. presidential election is just a few hours away. Votes will be cast in meetings known as caucuses later today in the Midwestern farming state of Iowa. Republicans have been out on the campaign trail trying to win their party's nomination to take on President Barack Obama in November. The latest opinion polls have Mitt Romney, Ron Paul, and Rick Santorum in the top three, but it's been anybody's race in the past few months with a succession of candidates featuring at the top of the polls. Well, today's vote in Iowa will be the first of several important state contests and maybe an early indicator of who has the best chance to move forward. CNN political editor Paul Steinhauser joins us now with more from Des Moines, Iowa. Paul.
Well, Monita, you're absolutely right. You know, it has been about 8 months now, this campaign. We've had 13 presidential debates, some here in Iowa, some across the country.
There in Des Moines. We want to take a look at the impact that the Iowa caucuses had on previous U.S. presidential campaigns. Now, in 2008, Mike Huckabee won Iowa, but it was meaningless to the outcome of the Republican nomination. That's because John McCain, the eventual nominee, didn't participate. Now, we take you back to 2000, and Iowa helped George W. Bush push aside another candidate, Steve Forbes, but the caucus only helped a little since John McCain won New Hampshire 8 days later. In 1996, remember Bob Dole? Well, he had a 3-point victory over candidate Pat Buchanan, and that gave Dole some help, but Iowa didn't really have an impact there since Buchanan won in New Hampshire. Dole, though, eventually won the nomination. In 1988, the Iowa caucus was meaningless. Bob Dole won, but George Bush, the elder, won New Hampshire and eventually the presidency. Now, the year that Iowa had a big impact was in 1980. Without a victory in Iowa, George Bush Sr. would have likely folded his campaign. His winning led to his being chosen as Ronald Reagan's vice president, which then led to a Bush victory in 1988. Now, President Obama figures high in all the Republicans' campaign rhetoric, but no one is challenging him for the Democratic Party's nomination. Jessica Yellen looks at what Democrats have planned for the caucuses. The League says its monitors in Syria will deliver an initial report in the next few days, and it could take action even before the observer mission ends. Over 70 Arab League monitors are in Syria right now. They are assessing whether authorities are complying with an agreement to end 9 months of violence. The observers say killings are still going on. We can't verify where or when these pictures were shot, but they appear to show a mother crying over the body of her dead son. Now, it's hard to know exactly what's going on inside Syria because authorities don't allow journalists to operate freely. But one non-CNN journalist succeeded in speaking to some of the protesters who were putting their lives at risk every day. Here is his exclusive report from the city of Homs, and for his safety, we won't be identifying him.
On the outskirts of Bab al-Amr in Homs, there is massive destruction.
Egyptians head back to the polls today in the third round of elections for the lower house of parliament. Votes will be cast in 9 provinces with final results expected next week. It is the latest step in a long road towards democratic government. New leader appears to have carried out his first military inspection since the death of his father, Kim Jong-il. Pictures from the state news agency show Kim Jong-un meeting with troops from a tank division on New Year's Day. State media also said the new leader will carry on his father's military-first policy. Well, North Korea says the U.S. military presence in South Korea is blocking any hopes of reunifying the two countries. CNN's Paula Hancock looks at why almost 30,000 U.S. troops are stationed south of the border. This is World One, live from London. 52 separate fires, 1 man arrested. A manhunt in the United States ended Monday with the discovery of a body lying in the snow at a national park. Patrick Altman went to the place where the tragedy unfolded, about 80 kilometers from the city of Seattle in the state of Washington.
I'm standing at the entrance to Mount Rainier National Park. This is where Benjamin Colton Barnes arrived on Sunday.
Prosecutors in Los Angeles say they've charged a 24-year-old man with arson. Police arrested him after the worst string of fires in the city since the riots in 1992. LA police say there have been no fires since they arrested Harry Burkhart. Hurricane-force winds, heavy rain and snow are battering parts of the United Kingdom. The conditions will mean long delays at some airports. Meteorologist Jennifer Delgado is at the World Weather Center with all the details for us. Jen, very windy here in London.
Yeah, pretty miserable out there, and weather is going to be bad as we go throughout the morning. We'll start to see some improvement as we get into the afternoon. To stay indoors and just watch it in the window.
It's perfect weather to stay indoors and watch us.
Right,
Thanks
exactly.
for that, Jen.
Take care.
All right, Jen Delgado, appreciate that. Still to come here on World One, the health scare affecting thousands of women around the world. We look at new concerns raised over what exactly was used inside. The government says it will urgently review the risk posed to thousands of women with faulty breast implants made by the French company PIP. New safety data suggests their rate of rupture could be higher than previously reported.
Here's how some different countries around the world have been dealing with the issue. In 2000, the U.S. actually banned PIP implants because they did not meet regulations there. In France, of course, the country to first discover the problem, they said that these implants should be removed, but the state will only pay in those cases that PIP implants have been put in after mastectomies.
We want to see what newspapers here in the UK are saying about this. In The Guardian, an opinion piece by a member of Parliament has a headline, "Normalising Dysmorphia." It goes on to say it is time for those who profit from this industry to take greater responsibility for its consequences for individuals and for women in general. Surgeons, like all doctors, should put the best interests of their patients first. The Belfast Telegraph has this headline, "True scale of breast implant faults unclear." It goes on to say the scale of the breast implant scandal involving faulty silicone devices cannot be determined because no one knows the true failure rate of implants. The lack of regulation means no reliable records of the rupture rate exist, posing a challenge for the government review. And finally, the headline in the independent newspaper is "Time to take implants seriously." It's a comment piece, and it says the truly shocking aspect of the scandal is that it could have been allowed to happen in the first place. The government has a duty to ensure such a situation can never arise again. South Sudan's government says it has wrestled back control of a remote border town after days of bitter tribal fighting. About 6,000 armed young people sent by one tribe marched on the remote town of Pibor earlier in the week. Carnage in northern Nigeria. The militant group Boko Haram has given Christians in the troubled region an ultimatum: leave within 3 days. The threat comes after the government declared a state of emergency in the worst hit areas, but Boko Haram says it is ready to confront security forces head on. Back, will 2012 be the year that India's most famous cricketer finally reaches a new milestone? Alex Thomas is here to tell us how he got on against Australia on Tuesday and the rest of the sport.
Thanks, Monita. It's been almost 10 months since Sachin Tendulkar hit his 99th international century and went to extremes.
I don't buy it. Because if we were designed to do it, it would be fun. And it'd be easier.
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
But I don't know.
We're designed to have better food, and that never tastes as nice as the bad food.
Exactly.
As we've all discovered over the last 2 weeks.
And now we have to work it off. Alex, thank you very much. You're watching World One live from London. When we come back, ain't nothing like the real thing. Third time round, that is. Back, this is World One live from London. We are approaching, it's almost 7 a.m. in New York, almost 1 p.m. in Berlin, and it is almost 9 p.m. for you in Tokyo. Now, you might say it's about time. Media mogul Rupert Murdoch has apparently opened his own Twitter account with 45,000 followers in a space of just 2 days. At first, many thought @Rupert Murdoch was a joke or written by someone else, but those close to him say it is indeed. We'll have to wait and see if Murdoch's endorsement has any effect on Rick Santorum's campaign, but as Jeannie Most shows us, there's at least been plenty of entertainment out of Iowa.
If you're unexcited about the Iowa caucuses...
Let's bring you up to date on some of the other stories that we're talking about here on World One. Aretha Franklin says, "No, I am not pregnant." That's just a bit of humor from the U.S. singer who says she's about to tie the knot for the third time. The 69-year-old is marrying Willie Wilkerson, her longtime friend. Congratulations to her. Well, not necessarily congratulations to them. Walking down the aisle may prove to be a bit costly for this singer. Katy Perry and British comedian Russell Brand are calling it quits after 14 months of marriage. Tabloid reports claim there was no prenup, so he could be entitled to half of her fortune under California divorce law. And in Spain, a cheeky gimmick paid off for these shoppers. The first 100 near-naked bargain hunters entering this Madrid clothing store got to walk out in a free outfit of their choice. Imagine if they didn't have your size. It'd be a bit of a long and cold walk home. Now, when you think of action figures, names like Batman or Superman come to mind. Well, there's a new one that's a bit different. Nerd Man, perhaps? This is the new Steve Jobs doll. It's complete with the signature black turtleneck and jeans. This little figurine is trending on Twitter this morning. The Steve Jobs doll will be available next month for $100. I think Nerd Man or Nerd Doll is a little bit mean. How about, I don't know, Computer Man or something? You're watching World One live from London. We leave you with that. I'm Monita Rajpal. We thank you for joining us. We'll update you on the news headlines at the top of the hour. Stay with us here on CNN.